Alrighty, guys, welcome back to the Coffee Hut podcast, where we talk about media, games, and pretty much anything else we want to. I'm Ellis,
Things. And I'm Brian.
and today we're talking about Black Panther,
Oh
the hit
boy,
new movie,
the social reform that America needed.
the winter blockbuster.
Is that a thing?
No, I mean Black Panther made it a thing, I guess.
I
They're
mean,
grossing insane numbers, so
yeah, that's very true. All right. So for people that don't know, Black Panther is, you should know, but if you don't, Black Panther is the most recent Marvel movie, following Marvel's character, Black Panther, obviously. And the fictional land of what is it called? I'm so bad with names, dude.
oh Jesus,
Wakanda?
I forgot. Yeah, Wakanda. There you go.
Wakanda.
Made
Yes,
me
and
forget
the
for a
fictional
second.
land of Wakanda, as they've had this meteorite that gave them vibranium that basically makes their entire society incredibly futuristic and high tech. And it's our main character, Black Panther, becoming the king, and um, their talk about if they share the vibranium with the world or not, because the implications it can have in the way of medical advances, but at the same time, terrible weapons. What did you think of Black Panther?
Uh, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was like other Marvel movies. It was good. It wasn't great. Um, but I think I liked it because with all the Marvel origin stories, it's actually a little bit more unique and it's a little bit more original. Um, so that kind of makes it better than most of the other Marvel movies. For me, it was like a 6.5 to a 7 out of 10. Thought it was pretty good.
Wow, you're already throwing in a number
You know
rating.
what? I'm throwing out my
That was
number early.
ballsy. That was ballsy.
I mean,
Actually, why would people listen to the rest of it? They already got the number out of
right?
you. That's
Yeah,
it.
perfect.
It's done. All right.
I'm just the
Goodbye.
end
Thanks
all
for
be
tuning in
all.
to Coffee Up Podcast. Next time we'll be reviewing who knows. Um,
What did you think, Brian?
a similar tone. Good, not great. Kind of movie that in 5 months, someone will bring it up and I'll be like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Um, very forgettable. Nothing you think about afterwards. I don't know. I guess I was less impressed than you, maybe.
I mean,
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
necessarily say I was impressed. Well,
Yeah.
let's start an analysis with just the base story. What did you
Yeah.
think of the broad strokes of the story as it went,
Do you want to talk the
as it
good, the
as it
bad, and
chronicles?
then
Yeah,
the ugly?
the good, the bad, the medium.
All right, all right. So in the way of good, and you want to talk story? I really enjoyed story. And the story as it was propelled by different characters. I think a lot of the characters were well developed and interestingly written. Um, and the story wise, it was good. It was good. It was very different than most other Marvel movies, or slash superhero movies, because it's like, oh, this is my alter ego, and I have to balance this, and I hope people don't know who I really am, you know. But like in Black Panther, they're like, dude, don't put on the fucking cat suit. We need a king. Like, stop, you know. Um, so it's interesting that take on it, and he's this king, he's this ruler, he's not just some average Joe, you know. So it was definitely interesting. Story broad stroke was good. The villain was well constructed, and like I said, the characters were pretty decent.
Yeah, yeah. I thought the same thing. I think that the story and the characters are definitely the best part about the movie, and I mean, yeah, that's pretty much all of the movie. Um, the other parts sort of fall short, and that kind of detracts from the fact that the story and the characters were actually pretty good, and I would say the story and the characters were better than most other Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Um,
I guess maybe the one thing it would take away from some people is that maybe it's not as relatable in a sense, you know. So the last Marvel movie I saw was I guess it was Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but that's not an origin story. Um, but I the last one I saw was Spider-Man: Homecoming,
Yep,
uh,
we saw that together.
and that's another origin story. And I guess with that origin story, it's a little bit more relatable. You know,
This is a
it's more so like you.
teenager in high school.
Well, not just that sense, but like it's very like what? How would I react if I had these
Right.
powers? Yada yada, and that's always kind of the relatable sense in the hero movies, for at least like part of the format. I guess this kind of reminded me of Thor. You know, I'm this powerful
Yeah,
demigod.
because
I need to become
it's
more
so
powerful.
clear that he has basically infinite power,
Hmm.
and I think that sort of leads to the other parts of tension in the main points of tension in the movie, which I guess a slight spoiler here, is when he gets his power taken away.
There's like two people that haven't seen the movie.
Yeah,
Worry
pretty
about
much everybody
spoilers.
else has probably. Yeah, but so when he like gets his power taken away, and there's like a little bit of tension there, but at the same time, you know that he's like the super insane fighter, and from the first basically action scene, he they show that he's impenetrable to guns. He can he jumps from a helicopter in the first scene, right?
Yeah, he just
Yeah,
jumps out of a plane.
and he can stop electronics. So it's sort of right from the beginning, it's like, okay, this movie isn't going to be about his struggle for power. It's going to be about something completely different because he's obviously insanely powerful already.
Yeah, yeah. He's already got the cool suit. It's not Iron Man, needing to make this put together suit to escape this terrorist cave, you know. Um, and yeah. So okay, and then also good in characters, Michael B. Jordan. I know some people didn't like him that much as from his acting performance,
I thought he did a
but
good job.
yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed them. There's been some complaints about him,
Huh.
but I don't really see it that much. He was supposed to seem very out of place when they're like, after he like gets the power,
Right.
and they're like, oh my lord, and then blah blah blah, we do this. And he's like, nah, burn this shit to the ground. And that he's very real, and the people of Wakanda are very fictitious in comparison to our world.
Yeah, sort of like naive.
Yeah, yeah. And so, uh, I really liked Michael B. Jordan in this. I thought he was well done. He
Yeah.
was very interesting. And his motivation was very clear, and I didn't have any gripes against him. Sometimes you're like, why is this guy doing this? Why does he care? You know.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
th-
you really relate with him, and he's making some good points.
yeah, I think that's
With
sort of like the point of his character is that he does make sense.
Yeah. And he makes some really fucking good points about Wakanda not sharing anything, and they bring up slavery and whatnot, and it's like where were you? Where were you? Like he's like I would rather jump off the boats and die than arrive in America to be a slave forever. Um, and so, admittedly, he's a bad dude that's sending weapons to bad people. But honestly, until he started kind of being a dick, I was very much so like, I'm okay with this guy winning.
Yeah.
When he takes over the Black Panther suit and whatnot, I was like, all right, I'm okay with this. And then he's like, then I'm gonna send weapons to terrorists, and I was like, what are we making more ISIS? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that
Um,
all the characters were really good, or
except
not
for his
really good.
sister.
All the characters were pretty good,
Except for
except
his
for his
sister.
sister. I don't think I think that was more of a dialogue problem. I think the actor was fine. The
The
only
actress.
actress, sorry, I think the only actress that I had sort of a problem with, and that I thought didn't necessarily give that great of a performance, was the general, the
Um,
the
yeah,
female head of the army, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah.
I thought her performance was not necessarily the best.
Um,
I don't know if it might have just been me, but I was a couple of times I was like, yeah, no.
yeah, that might have just been down to the dialogue.
Yeah, I guess
Um,
so. A couple points in this movie, the dialogue was just either cringy
had.
or just not believable.
Yeah. Do you want to start moving to the good or the bad?
The
I feel like we've
bad
gone
for
over the
the
good.
story and the characters, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the good, characters, story, that's all good. Um, they're very interesting. You like how they interact. You like about how Black Panther grows and his interactions with his father, and his father turns out to be not that good of a dude. And Michael B. Jordan's like, "You guys killed my father, and no one has helped me." You know, very believable, and I enjoyed their parts of the movie. Um, Now you want to talk about the bad?
Yeah. Uh,
Excellent.
what are
I
those,
l-
Brian?
I love complaining. Oh my god, that was so loud. But some of the dialogue was fucking garbage, man. I mean, so just cringy and out of touch, and which is very conflicting with the movie because they got their soundtrack made by Kendrick Lamar, and then they're making "What are those" jokes. I like physically recoiled at that point.
Yeah, yeah. For those of you who haven't
I felt
seen like that scene or have
disgusted.
just mentally blocked it, it's the Black Panther's little sister is asks her brother, "What are those?" when he's wearing sandals, and she even does like the super voice inflection and everything, and it is
What are
so bad. I
those?
actually couldn't believe it. I was like, is this a joke?
Is
Is this
this
like
real
is it
life?
April 1st right now? Do they put this in the movie as a joke? What?
Oh, that hurt, man. It just felt like an old guy was trying to write something hip with the kids.
Yeah.
I was like r slash fellow kids over here. Like, please, no, stop that. Um, yeah, none of the humor really hit for me. I think that goes in with the dialogue a little bit. Um, I think the majority of the humor wasn't very funny. I don't think I laughed the entire movie. I maybe gave a little
An
blew some.
exhale of the nose.
Yeah, I maybe gave like a good exhale at one point. Um, but most times when a joke was made, I kind of just looked at Ellis. I was like, it was like a "Can you believe this shit?"
Yeah.
look, you know.
Well, I
Um,
think that the humor was sort of in contrast. I didn't mind the humor. I'm a little bit more childish in my humor, and the the movie was very childish in its humor as well. Um,
hmm.
I thought that I did think that the humor kind of contrasted with the overall sort of tone of the movie,
Oh,
because
definitely.
the movie is it's trying to tackle these huge issues, and they throw in, I mean, I hate to go back to this, but they throw in a "what are those" joke. That's like the only joke I can remember. So the
Yeah.
humor
So,
wasn't that good. It was sort of
and
forgettable, and
yeah, and then she's like driving the car, and the whole car explodes
oh
around her
yeah,
except for the seat and the
I laughed
steering
at that.
wheel. I was like, it was just so like it felt like out of a cartoon in a
Yeah,
sense.
it felt like
Um,
it was out of a comic book.
but in like a yeah, but they're trying to make a movie that's more serious. He's reconciling with his father, being a murderer.
Yeah.
You
Well, I
know.
think it's the reason that the humor in this movie didn't work is for the same reason that humor in movies that are adapted from anime doesn't work. Because when you're making an anime, you can make like a super serious topic and still have really sort of childish humor in there. But as
Like
soon as you
Full
try to
Metal
adapt, yeah, like Full
Alchemist
Metal Alchemist. But as soon as you try to adapt
from
that to live action, it's not going to work. And I think
yeah.
that that's sort of a little bit of comic book humor, and it doesn't
Mm,
translate as well.
yeah. And then like she's like, "Oh, I can't stand this wig." The like general,
Oh yeah,
and,
was that even
oh, it
was that
looks
even a joke or like?
it looks good on you. And she's like, ah, poof, poof, like brushing it out of her face. Like, I can't stand it. Like, I was like, okay, um, yeah. I didn't, I didn't think it was very funny at
Yeah,
all.
yeah. It was
Um,
overall it was just forgettable.
oh, and then like the king of the gorillas being like, if you speak again, we will eat you. And then like you hear an audible Martin Freeman gulp. See, that just feels like a cartoon, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and then
Well,
it's
again, that would have
doing
worked in
things.
like a comic book.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. I just it just wasn't very funny, and I was just kind of just upset every time they made a joke. Um, what else in the negative? Just okay, right? So I praised the plot and whatnot, although it was admittedly incredibly predictable. You predict that his friend is
Yeah.
gonna kind of turn on him, and
But there's also like, what superhero movie isn't?
yeah, that's true. Spider-Man: Homecoming. Dude, that's
I
that's
mean,
the
okay,
first
there was
time a
like a
Marvel
one
movie has
twist
like
that one
thrown me for a
time.
loop.
Yeah, but I feel like a lot of movies nowadays, a lot of stuff is pretty predictable, and that doesn't necessarily make it bad, but it does sort of, you sort of really really need to nail what you're doing if it's super
Yeah.
predictable.
It'll definitely take you out of it when you go, "Oh, this is what's going to happen," Um and that kind of bothered me. So you look at the movie and be like, "I don't know how this plot's going to go, but I have an idea." Same idea with the new Avengers that's going to come out, I don't know how they're going to deal with Thanos getting the Infinity Gems, and because in the comic books, once he gets them all, he snaps his finger and half of the universe dies. You know, so are they gonna do that? Like, we're talking. These movies are made to sell toys, dog. So like that's I don't know what's going on, but with Black Panther, you see some things happening. Oh, this character's gonna do that. Oh, this character is gonna do that. You know. Um, so I guess a little bit's kind of predictable. And then had a story that kind of pissed me off. It was just a total gripe for me. Uh, so I get that they're trying to use like the kind of medieval weapons, but they're vibranium, so they're badass, right? She's using a spear. He's got claws. Um, but like Black Panther's the only one who isn't. Uh, or Black Panther's the only one who's bulletproof, And there's a lot of moments that just piss me off. I'm like, stand 3 steps back and shoot. Um, and the most frustrating part where that happens is when they meet in the like underground like casino where Martin Freeman is trying to buy the vibranium from the Australian guy. Um, and like they make a point to show that all the guys are armed with the yeah, with the metal detector. They beep 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 beep, and then they're fighting the general lady who's using a spear. They're fighting her in hand to hand. I was like, what? Like, just 3 steps back, bang bang, like no more issue. What?
Yeah, I agree that that was sort of, it's sort of like convenience. Oh, the heroes are badass, I guess, so nobody shoots them or whatever. That is
Yeah.
pretty annoying. They definitely could have solved that problem in a different way.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, the vibranium weapons are so great, and they're like in the final battle, they're all fighting with sticks and shields. I was like, what kind of weapons were they sending to the terrorist groups? They like get like a pile of spears. You're like, what the fuck are we supposed to do with
Well,
this? As like a
they
SEAL Team 6 that snipes them like
they did
like fuck.
have the spears were like a gun, like it shot something. They said it was an anti-tank missile type thing.
Oh,
So they
did
could
they?
point it and it would shoot a blasty thing.
And the guy's arm has got the shooty blasty thing.
Yeah, yeah, he's got the shooty blasty thing too. I didn't understand
Shooty
why
blasty.
more characters didn't have shooty blasty things.
Yeah. Dude, if Michael B. Jordan had a shooty blasty thing,
Yeah,
whew,
game over.
you know, yeah, Warmonger has been fighting with assault rifles his whole life, but then he's able to beat Black Panther with a stick. I'm like,
Yeah.
wait.
I mean, he
um,
was he was like Black Ops, wasn't he? They probably trained these
yeah,
guys
yeah,
for,
he's CIA.
yeah.
But like it would have been better if he was like, get me like a vibranium AR or some shit like that, and like people are fighting him and he just does his like, nah, and just like, All I'm saying is that I would be a better villain than a comic book villain.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Um,
So there were definitely some plot parts that just didn't make any sense or were just weird and contrived. I think sort of where it really went off the rails a little bit was the special effects and what was I just gonna say? There's something else I was grouping in with the special effects that I forget what it was now.
was
Okay,
it maybe the fight scenes?
yeah, the fight scenes were a little bit odd. I think the first one. Okay, well, yeah. What did you think about the special effects in the fight scenes?
I just thought they were dumb and boring, and so special effects look like trash. Like, I mean, obviously, like I can't do any better, but we're talking about Disney Marvel. And Disney owns fucking everything. If you're telling me that they didn't have enough money and resources to get it done, don't lie to me. It seems like a deadline issue, because they're trying to
Yeah,
release it in Black History Month. Uh, but people that were in charge of that, this major business needs to do some better planning or
yeah.
something,
Well,
because a
the
lot of the visuals looked like it was rendered on a PlayStation 2.
yeah, it's sort of. I think that yeah, it definitely looks like it was done quickly, and that's embarrassing for Disney because, or for Marvel especially because they in all of the Avengers movies, in all of their other superhero movies, it's so special effects reliant that they should be experts. They should be down to, we can literally do anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear that.
Um,
And like they make some things look really really good, and this
yeah,
didn't look that good.
yeah. I think especially the fight scene at the end. Um, there were a couple of times when the dudes were like flipping around and stuff, and you could definitely tell that
Yeah.
they like didn't animate him mid flight. They just like they went up in the air and they made it go really fast, but you could tell that they just kind of put a black ball on the screen or something like that.
Yeah, like when he like swings around the like light pole
Yeah,
looking thing on the train, I was like, like I don't know who looked at that and went, "This looks good." Like,
yeah.
what?
So
Um,
I think that the special effects were definitely a negative, and I think that when you look at the fight scenes, the only ones that were really like good were the very first one because the special effects in that one were not bad. There just weren't that many of them. Um, and the last one, and the special effects in the last one were bad, but the last fight was still like interesting.
yeah, I mean, like even though in the way of fighting and whatnot, I feel like there's no tension whatsoever.
In which battle though? Between because when I say the last
In
fight, I just
in
mean the two Black Panthers on like the train.
in most fights,
Yeah,
I
well,
just
because he's
I just
bulletproof.
yeah, and then characters that aren't bulletproof, they're either not shooting at them or they're in things that are bulletproof, like the bulletproof car. The only time there's any some sort of tension is done with Martin Friedman, and when when the warmonger breaks the Australian guy out, he fires in on a group of people not wearing armor, you know, and Martin Freeman eats a bullet for Black Panther's girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, the
Ex
love
girlfriend, the
interest.
spy. Yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, then everything else is just armored dude, and he's like so incredibly powerful. It's like
yeah. There's no tension.
it's not super interesting. And it's not like he's doing like cool things where you're like, whoa, that was cool. He's just punching shit and jumping around and using these vibranium claws, and then whenever he gets hit by stuff, it doesn't affect him, and the energy goes into his suit, and then he just explodes on people. Wow, that sounded more. Oh, I'm gonna fucking explode on you.
Well,
um,
I think that the car scene that could have been interesting if the special effects weren't like not up to par. I don't want to say bad because it's still like good. It's still
He just looks
passable
rubbery.
in any other movie, but
Yeah. He
it's a
looks
Marvel movie. Expect more.
he just looks incredibly rubbery,
Yeah,
you know? He looks like the big rubber. Um like uh okay, right? So I guess again, keeping this in Marvel, something I'd like to relate it to is that I saw so Iron Man, right? He seems pretty much impervious in the suit of armor, right? Um, and I saw like a post on r slash Marvel, some shit like that on Reddit, that was showing the like Mach 1 armor, and it looks incredibly real. It looks like an actual suit. Nowadays, I don't think it looks as cool. It just looks like a CGI fest, you know. It looks kind of rubbery, you know. But for the original Iron Man, it looks like a dude made it in his shop, and every time he walked, I mean, like a zzz, 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 whenever he was stepping and shit like that. Um, and I was thinking about how he was kind of impervious, but like that was a bit of the fun, and he was still working out the kinks in it, which was interesting. So like,
yeah. And they
when
put
he
him in a
goes,
couple scenes without the armor too, right?
that's true, yeah. And then when he goes into like a Middle Eastern town, right? Because he's shooting terrorists in this one, you know, um, and like he's got all these gadgets, but whenever you see them, like you're like, oh, sweet, you know, and they're all like different and interesting, and like so like the guy like has hostages, and they're like, time for you to stop, or we would kill everyone, and the little like shoulder rockets pop on and headshot everyone real quick, you know. Um, and then like another fucking thing pops out of his arm and fires a missile into a tank, and you're like, yeah, like, it's super badass. But with Black Panther, it's like, oh, he can jump really far. He drank the magic fruit,
Yeah.
and he's
Well,
got a
actually,
suit where he can't get hurt.
yeah, I think that they could have taken a note out of Iron Man's book, and because at the end of Iron Man, Tony Stark has to beat uh, Obadiah, whatever his name is, like without his
Obadiah
armor, right?
Bane or something like that.
Yeah, he's
He's
without it.
well, he's not in armor, and people are not in armor trying to like run away and slash fight him, but then he gets into armor but then loses lots of pieces of it, and he doesn't beat him by punching him harder. He outsmarts him by overloading the arc reactor he has.
Yeah, yeah.
um
What the part? There's a part in Black Panther where the Michael B. Jordan eventually gets the Black Panther juice, and the main guy who was the Black Panther, he's without it. And they're able to give the previous king the juice back again, so they both have the juice, and it's like quote unquote a fair fight, right?
the juice.
Yeah, it sounds like steroids.
He got
Um,
some haterade.
yeah, I think the last fight would have been so much better if Michael B. Jordan had the juice and the suit, and the previous king had just the suit. And he had to fight it. He had to find a super ingenious way to kill him because he didn't have the super steroid killer guys in his body anymore.
Yeah, yeah,
Instead of
and then back in predictable plot off of that with that fight scene, you know, ending fight scene. You see the trains, and she's like, "Yeah, vibranium can't move that fast, or it'll explode. So these things deactivate vibranium." Anyway, moving on. You know, the movie like looked you in the eyes and went, "Hey, this is gonna be important later." You know,
I mean, there's
no.
nothing wrong with that though.
Well,
Telling
it
you
was
that
just
something is going to be
so
important.
incredibly well. Martin Freeman just points it out. She explains it, and then he's like, "Wow, cool," and like that was it. You
Well,
know,
I mean, what else
but
do you
like
want them to? If they had just introduced that at the last moment, you would be like, "Oh, where are we supposed to know about that? Where did this come from?"
well, yeah, but integrating it better is what I enjoyed. Back to Iron Man. I fucking love that movie. I mean, I'll be honest. I love that movie. One of my favorite movies, especially from like Marvel Universe and shit. Um, but the arc reactor is just an energy source, the big one, right? And then people are impressed when he takes the small one and puts it to keep his heart pumping. Um, right, and he uses that to power the suit, and it's a part of the story because they're like, how do you get something that big into that small of a space into in a fucking cave when you're a prisoner, you know? And Obadiah says that to some worker, you know. He's like, started in a fucking cave out in the Middle East as a hostage. What do you mean you can't make it smaller, you know? So it's integral in the story, and then he has Pepper Potts overload it, and he tricks Obadiah into that killing him. But it's an essential part of the story. It's not a character's like, oh, what's that? Oh, it's a powerful reactor. Oh, neat. Moving on. Like, oh boy. You know? Oh, if that gets busted, it disables all electronics in a 5 mile radius. Oh, interesting. And then they move on and, like, end the scene. Like, you'd be like, oh, so that's how he's gonna beat him. But, like, Stark uses a couple of ways to beat him because his suit freezes at a height, and he tricks Obadiah into flying up, and then his suit freezes and he falls to the ground, and then he can't fly anymore, and then he gets stuck on that roof. You know, it has stuff that ties together, and even though it's guy fighting similar typed guy, it's interesting. I was just I was just a little bit bored with this movie, you know, and its predictability. Its fight scenes weren't too interesting. There wasn't much in the way of tension. The Black Panther suit is like whatever, you know, it's nothing
Yeah.
like
Well, I mean,
mind-blowingly
it
cool.
was cool.
Yeah, but like not enough for like you'd be like, yeah, I'd want one, but if I had a choice of things from the MCU, Black Panther suit is nowhere near the top 15, you know? Like
There were 15
Ant-Man.
suits in the MCU.
Well, out of what you could have, what ability you could have, you know. Like fucking Ant-Man is way cooler, and they have some like really creative fight scenes for that, you know.
Yeah.
Did you see Ant-Man?
I saw bits and pieces.
I've seen Ant-Man, but like so like there's you know a similar guy in the suit, Wasp, and he gets small, you know. But then they're having this intense battle in like a toy train set, you know. So it's super funny and creative, and then whenever Ant-Man's fighting people, he's super small and jumping around and doing cool shit, you know. And it's interesting how they think about the set, you know. Um, but in Black Panther, it's like he can jump really far and he's got sharp claws,
Yeah. Well, okay.
and he can't get
So,
hurt.
what is your encompassing view? What is your wrapping up thought on this movie? You sounded like I mean, it certainly sounds like you're shifting more towards a negative review as we've sort of wrapped up talking here.
Well,
So
that's because we started with the good.
maybe we should start with the bad and move to the good next time.
Yeah, maybe.
A
we'll,
little more
we'll try
optimistic.
that. We'll end on a good note. Um, I don't know. Like,
Would you recommend it to somebody?
I would recommend it if you are 11 or hungover.
Wow.
Those are like I would recommend it to children or people that had a lot to drink the night before. I would recommend it's like the if you see it on Netflix, I'd recommend you watch it, you know.
Yeah, I guess so.
I wouldn't pay money again to see it, you know. I didn't perhaps feel robbed, you know. I didn't walk out of the movie theater like I'm gonna need a refund because that was so terrible. I can't believe they made that a movie.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't walk out going 10 out of 10. This is changing America.
Right.
You know, it was a well-made movie. Good on them for adding the pretty much black cast. It's nice to not see something whitewashed. So it made it being set in Africa in Wakanda a lot more believable. You know, you don't have some movies like The Great Wall of China, and there's a whole. What are you doing here, Matt? What are you doing here, Matt Damon? Um, so I mean, I'd probably give this like a 5.5,
Wow. All right.
5, 6.
Well, I'm a little bit more optimistic than you apparently then, because I'm sticking with my 6.5, and I think that I would recommend it to if there's nothing else to see and you like superhero movies, it's a good choice, especially if it's on Netflix.
Yeah. I would say out of superhero movies, out of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, I enjoyed this a lot less than most others. If you want to watch a good Marvel movie, I'd recommend Homecoming. I'd recommend Iron Man. Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, stuff that feels, it can either be more of a spectacle and a sight. Because sets were all right, but they looked just very CGI'd. So like,
Yeah, I sort of wish
the,
we got to see more of the city.
yeah, you only see like one block. The like street view, you see it like twice. And I think it's like the same street. They just like put it at a different placement.
Yeah, like flip the camera around.
Yeah. But out of Marvel movies, it's all right. I think there's a lot of Marvel movies in the cinematic universe that are better. Um, so it's an movie.
All right, well, there you go. It was an movie and it was an all right movie.
It's it's in 1,000 out of possible 3.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you guys very much for tuning in to this episode of Coffee House Podcast.
CoffeeHut.
Coffee Hut. Sorry. Coffee House was already copyrighted.
Yeah, honestly, dude, FBI man's here for you.
Can't be saying that. Any ideas? I think we're going to be talking about Ready Player One.
Hopefully, I'm very excited.
Maybe next time, yeah.
Yeah. We still need to talk about Altered Carbon.
Yep.
I think
Possible episode coming up soon for that.
Yep. And I don't know. I hope we'll also see Infinity War. See how it holds up.
So I was not planning on seeing Infinity War.
Well, that's where you're wrong, kiddo.
All right. Well, you know what? If you drag me to see it, I'll watch it with you.
Yeah, man. We'll watch Infinity War.
All right.
But yeah, thanks for showing up. Hope you come again, and have a good one.